Okay, I see that Broken Make has made another video and I haven't watched it yet. Okay, is this gonna focus or not? Okay, I guess not. I gotta close the window. Okay. So he's made a new video and I haven't seen it yet, but it's only 4.5 minutes, and so I think I can make it. And the title is Antinatalist Lunatics, so I mean that's provocative enough for me to, you know, I think that I'm gonna respond. He also has this authoritarian antinatalism FTL thing, which was just clips of Emendam, but I mean he's trying to make Emendam look crazy or something because he has such extreme and unpopular views, basically just appealing to popular opinion. But yeah, let's take a look at this video. I've got my camera batteries loading, so I can't use the camera now, so I'll use the webcam instead. Sorry about that, but you know, there might not be that much to see in the video. I'll put a link in the description anyway, but okay, come on. Okay, it's loading. Okay, and
Okay, last criticism on the antinatalist thing.
Okay.
Basically, I just want to say that, you know, their position is absurd. On the face of it, it can sound like, you know, they're just worried about the suffering and it's all just compassionate. And
so it's absurd. No evidence, no argument, nothing. It's just absurd. So that's, you know, just an ad hom.
You know, maybe you shouldn't have kids because it's, you know, unethical, and there's the reasons.
But you have some other theory that we have some ulterior motive, and what might that be?
But when pushed to expound on the philosophy, the ideology becomes clear, and it is about preventing people, and it's about them having the moral right to prevent people from having children.
Okay, and you know, this is exactly the kind of, you know, slander that Emendam is whining about. I mean, and yeah, it does deserve criticism. I mean, he has some pictures of Nazis. I imagine those are Nazis, I'm not sure, but you know, and you know, that's just kind of, you know, anti-natalists are authoritarian, and they are, and so let's put pictures of Nazis in there, and you know, just, you know, okay, so we're 40 seconds in the video and there's been an ad hominem, and then there's this kind of slander, manipulation with images, trying to link this into something like National Socialism, and then, you know, his argument is basically that, you know, we are imposing on the imposers, so we are wrong, which is, you know, like we are stopping the imposers from imposing, and you know, therefore we're imposing on their right to impose, so we are somehow unethical or something. Like, come on, like if we take the, you know, drunk driver's license away, and you know, put the, you know, take the car's register plates off, and you know, basically stop him from driving a car because he's a drunk driver, then yeah, sure, we are imposing on his right to drive, but you know, in reality we're just stopping him from imposing on other people. Same thing with locking up murderers. Sure, we're limiting their freedom, but we're actually just protecting other people from these murderers. Same thing from, yeah, you can just come up with these analogies, but this is what it's about, basically. Of course, we really can't do anything in reality, but you know, first thing is to, you know, try to convince people not to have children, but you know, some people just won't concede. They'll just, you know, fuck the argument, I'm gonna have children anyway, so yeah, we're gonna have to do something, we're gonna have to stop them. stop the imposers from imposing, and you're like, oh, the poor imposers.
And to use violence and force to prevent
Violence and force, like what?
people from having children.
This whole thing is about the sterilization. I think, like, well, force. I mean, yeah, use rubber, and if you don't, then yeah, you're gonna get sterilized. I mean, boo hoo. Like, or if you get pregnant anyway, try to, you're told to use contraception and you still get pregnant, then well, yeah, we'll force you into an abortion. But that's not like it's nothing compared to the harm that you are doing and the harm that you would do if we didn't stop you. It's very small. It's not like we're like inciting actual violence. We're just trying to protect the individuals that you are harming.
This is never going to happen, so there's no fear of that.
Well, you seem to be afraid,
but even as a thought experiment, the society that they're advocating for is fascist.
Oh, fascists. Yeah. This is just because you can't think outside the box. You're just so used to these societies. I mean, I wonder if you're a meat eater or not. I mean, I assume you are, because you don't give a fuck about. I mean, I'm sorry if I'm misrepresenting you, but it just seems to me that you don't give a fuck about suffering. You're just like, life is a curse, but it's also a blessing, and even though that makes no sense and I have no argument, I'll just say that anyway, and, someone posts a comment, I'll just respond by some troll thing, and I'll make a video and just spew ad homs and put, Nazi images there, and they're trying to link this into fascism. And having a law that stops someone from imposing harm on someone else is not fascist. Like, if you want to remove all the laws that are stopping people from inciting or stopping people from doing harm to others, then you're basically we're not gonna have a society anymore. We're gonna have an anarchy. This is just ridiculous, trying to compare this with Nazis or stuff like that.
And totalitarian.
Those poor imposers, those poor murderers, those poor child molesters. How dare we take away their right to molest? Those poor drunk drivers. I mean, this is ridiculous.
It's ultra repressive.
Yeah. Ultra repressive. I mean, no, it's not. It's just because the current society is like this, then you just say that, yeah, because it's so much more it's extreme compared to this society, but it's actually pretty reasonable. It's not extremely suppressive in any way. I mean, I personally am for more freedoms. I would like the drugs to be legal, and basically you can do it's so simple. You can do anything you want, just don't harm anyone else. Okay, and driving a car or something like that has its risks, but the risks are very small. On the other hand, giving birth driving a car serves a purpose. It takes you somewhere easily, but getting children, having children doesn't really serve a purpose. It's just, or a valid purpose, and it comes with a huge price, and the price is unavoidable. Unlike when driving a car, it's just a small risk, but when having children, the risk is it's impossible to avoid. It's just a question of how bad it's gonna get.
The idea of the state hunting down people who are living in the mountains with their children because they don't want their children to be taken and sterilized, or...
I mean, you really think that's what's going on in China? Like, they're like, they are not, it's not that horrible, seriously. Oh, I can't impose on, like, in China they decided you're gonna impose only on one child because the society can't handle that many people. But yeah, you think it would be so terrible to take it one step further? I mean, especially in these countries, like, seriously, try to justify it first, and you have no argument basically.
Because they are breeders. There's going to be large numbers of people who do want to have children, and so it's not going to be just everybody volunteering to be sterilized.
Well, if they were going to volunteer, then they would need to be sterilized. That's the whole point. We only need to sterilize the people who are not willing to use condom.
So the idea that they're going...
That's the whole point. People who are not willing to not drink and drive. Those people are not the problem. The problem are the people who are drunk driving.
To use force to prevent people is just a horrific idea.
It's a horrific idea, and I have an emotional thingy, so you have no argument.
And be clear that they feel they do have the right to use that kind of violence and force.
It would really help if you came up with a counter-argument, that might make us think differently. And the antinatalist worldview is extremely grim, I admit that. So yeah, if you could actually refute it, then I would be thankful. Because this worldview, this view of the world, sucks. According to this worldview, the planet, everything sucks. And I would much prefer that the planet wouldn't suck, but it does. So if you can refute the antinatalist perspective or antinatalist philosophy, then yeah, it would make me happier, because life would be all fine again.
Why they use the...
But you can't do that. Truth seems to be quite bad. Truth seems to be quite unpleasant, sad, and disgusting. But just gonna have to deal with that. First step is to acknowledge the problem and then try to fix it, instead of just denying that there's any problem.
Analogy of murder and rape with procreation, because
linking murder and rape with procreation, you're trying to link antinatalism with Nazis. I mean, and the parallels are pretty clear with procreation. I mean, come on. Child abuse is very good, analogy.
Or drunk drivers, because they say, look...
And drunk driving is another good one.
We as a society accept using violence and force to prevent people from drunk driving, from murdering, and from raping. And so they feel that if they use this analogy, then they have an ethical...
I don't get it. I mean, he obviously has heard all this stuff, and he has apparently thought about it, but he's still like, woo.
A right to use violence to prevent people from procreating. And
can't you understand that you have to come up with a justification for procreation? I mean, there is demonstrable harm. What is the justification?
And so on both counts, the philosophy...
I would never take that kind of risk with another person's welfare without solid, hard evidence to, flawless justification.
Just completely fails. On the first count, it fails because it's just so absurdly unrealistic, and that...
It's so absurd. I mean, it was so absurd that black people would ever, be free and not be slaves and be normal citizens, and it was so, so ridiculous that women would someday be allowed to vote. And come on, that is not an argument. That's just some battle. I mean, you don't see it happening. Well, I mean, no one said it's going to be easy, but we're getting there.
Society would never...
And even if it was unrealistic, so what? It would still be true.
exist.